You thought that, you know, the banks were this kind of permanent fixture, set in stone, part of the landscape, and they went, and a lot of them fell apart like that. And there's a lot of other things now, really fundamental things like our food supply, like our fuel supply, which are equally vulnerable. And not only do we need to react and re-engineer the economy in the face of the economic collapse, in the face of the challenge of climate change, but also to underpin our own fundamental livelihoods, our own fundamental securities, north and south. And we need to find progressive patterns of interdependence between countries like Britain and the rest of the world, not exploitative ones. In government institutions, the power of doctrine, of dogmatic ideology, of built-in institutional inertias and ways of doing things are so incredibly strong that even to begin to think about addressing them feels a bit heretical and revolutionary. So there are huge problems. When you hear the government talking about joined up government, and then you see, just as you do at the moment, on the one hand, one government department announcing a new, more ambitious target for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, while another speaks about its fervent commitment to build more runways in Britain's airports and to start building coal-fired power stations which are not instantly and readily equipped with carbon capture and storage, you realise that you've got something much worse than a lack of coherence across government. You've got fundamentally contradictory approaches to policy. Now, if we could begin to tackle those headline, glaringly obvious fundamental contradictions, that would be progress. Now, there are some signs that because these contradictions are so extreme and are so obvious, that some of those are so embarrassing and so almost comical, if they weren't so awful, that those are beginning to be addressed. Everything to do with hardline neoliberal economic doctrine has teeth. It has ways in which there are hard sanctions, economic sanctions, if countries do not toe the line. Around areas to do with environmental policy, life-saving, civilization-supporting environmental policy and agreements, and issues to do with labour rights and human rights, these exist in a kind of strange soft policy area of exhortation, of goodwill, with nothing really to fundamentally back them up. I think the real win is going to see a flip in those sorts of things, so that the issues and the agreements and the aims and objectives of achieving real environmental progress, real sustainability, of delivering on social progress, on human rights, on real international poverty reduction, if these become the sort of the dominant force in policy making, both at the national level and the international level, and the other stuff becomes subsidiary, it fits in where it supports the higher social and environmental aims, that would make for real progress. I think if we wait until we get a new enlightenment in which interdependent, holistic, coherent policy making is in place, I fear we may go beyond some of the rather critical tipping points that we're talking about in issues like climate change. But if actually we put what matters first at the national and international level, I think that would be progress.